Lay back, unwind. Groove to the rhythm, it'll soothe your mind. Live, laugh, and love, might throw some shade along the way. Oh, please behave. Some might say, let's go. It's time to turn on your radio. Rhymes will flow, just so you know. You're kicking it, okay? That's all I'm gonna say. Let's go.
Hey y'all, what's up? Thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of the Kicking It with K Marie podcast. You all know that I love to bring different things to you because we are a podcast that will help you to live your best life for the culture. Okay, because I always have on guests at times. I'm trying to be reaching out to you all just on a solo tip because I know that you guys like that. And that makes a girl feels good, okay? That you rock with me. But I have to have guests on every now and then. And today is no different. And we're going to be continuing on our episode of Blerds. And we had a great episode starting us out with our guest, Kylan Jackson, the journalist. And he gave us some really good insight to his personal experiences. And I hope that you all shared it and liked it because I know that that particular episode, it will help a lot of people. It will help a lot of kids that's dealing with being quote unquote different, okay, and embracing your differences. And those of us in the Black community, not to pick on or make light of people who have different interests than yourselves, okay? So, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to us on because we're on all of them from iHeartRadio to Audible. Okay, so you know what to do. Hit that like, hit that share, hit that subscribe. And also, you know that I have started a Patreon. Okay, so just go to the K Marie. When you go to Patreon, just type in the K Marie and it will come up. And you know that you will get a lot of benefits. Benefits like you'll watch us live when we're recording our podcast. You'll I'll be able to shout you out. Okay. Who does not like to hear their name being shout out? I know I do. Okay. Because I have people that I listen to that I am a Patreon of as well. And it feels good when they just shout you out. So we do that. And we do a host of other things. We have Patreon only shows. Y'all know what some of those are. You can go ahead and look at that. Um, so some of those shows, though, let me tell you about one of them that I'm excited, and I'm not going to start it until I get about 10 Patreons, because it's going to be good. It's going to be good, and I have to have at least 10. We're going to have a all adult content. I'll just put it like that. Show, okay. I have some great guests lined up, so when that show do pop off, also game shows I'm going to produce because y'all know. Also, I'm a filmmaker. So go ahead and check out my Trailer to Fun and Games on YouTube. And you can find all the links to everything that I'm doing on my link tree. So it's linktree/the K Marie. Okay. Y'all, I'm telling you, you do not want to miss what's going to be popping in the Patreon only content. It's going to be some good stuff. Okay. All right, y'all. So we're going to continue the conversation about Blerds. But today it's going to be on a little lighter note because last 2 weeks ago, it was kind of on the serious side, but it was needed. So I didn't want to do that back to back. So we're going to have some fun tonight with our two guests. Okay. And our two guests, they are the host of the Two Black, Two Nerdy podcast. It is a pop culture podcast dedicated to all things nerdy. They review and discuss pop culture and entertainment with a dash of social and political commentary. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to and bring on to the show. I like to say Chris Square because both of their names are Chris. So, Chris and Chris. Hey, y'all.
Hello, how's it going?
What's up,
Good.
everybody?
Chris and Chris. I know that. So, how did you all meet? That's what I want to know.
Chris, you want me to tell
Something
the
nerd,
story?
something nerdy.
It was, yeah, no, it was the nerdiest thing. So, yeah, so Chris and I are about the pretty much the same age. And the funniest thing is a lot of people think like we went to high school together or something.
Hmm.
No, we met at it was an engineering summer camp um, between junior and senior year of high school. And it was like for kids that were like interested in STEM, that kind of
Hmm.
thing. You got to stay at a university for I forget, was it a week and a half? I forgot how long it
It was
was,
it
but it
was
wasn't
about it was a little over 2 weeks, I think.
a little, or maybe around 2 weeks. Yeah, you stay at a university and you get to stay in the dorm for a couple weeks and get a taste of that
Oh.
college life. And I mean, yeah, I met Chris there, and we were friends on Facebook. And then we both graduated high school respectively,
Hmm.
went to different colleges. We both ended up moving back home because we were both in the same state. And then
Okay.
one day I'm on Facebook like, man, I really want to start a podcast. And then Chris leaves a comment like, "Me too." One of us put a post up there, the other one commented, and we got like Starbucks, and we realized that we had a lot of common interests, and we recorded our first episode at like a public library,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
the rest was history.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So, before we really get into everything tonight, why don't you give everyone your how can they find your podcast?
Okay, yeah. So we're the Two Black to Nerdy podcast. You can find us on pretty much all podcast platforms. Apple Podcast, Spotify, the Google Play Store. I didn't even realize we're on Audible. One of my friends uses
Mm.
Audible. It's like, oh, you guys are on there too. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess it does push it out
I didn't even
everywhere.
know that either.
Really?
Yeah, I discovered that a while ago. So yeah, you can find us anywhere. Yeah, you can listen to podcasts. I know Chris, you can go over your socials if you want to real quick.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So you can find me on TikTok, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and Hive at Star Wars Lawyer. I make nerdy content on there. A lot of Star Wars, but what really, I guess, propelled me to gain a bunch of followers randomly and quickly was doing a series, the Founding Fathers reacting to modern day things,
Hmm.
and yeah, so things like that, and cosplay and all that fun stuff.
Okay, cool. Chris.
And you can find me. I'm not like I'm outside of the podcast. I'm not like a huge content creator, but you can find me on Twitter at that guy CD and Instagram at Chris the Davis.
Okay. But what I want to start off with, because again, I know it's some people listening and or watching. So you guys, if you want to see what's happening here, just want to see the podcast, you can check us out on our YouTube page and on Instagram as well. Again, the link tree. I'll put everything in the description, and I'll put the guys all of their socials in the description of this episode as well. But I want to know, how was it for you growing up being a black nerd? Just tell us some of your experiences, good and bad, and how did you deal with that, if you had some not so good experiences.
Uh, I think at least family wise, it was real easy because I come from a family of nerds.
Mm.
So I also think there was like a good amount of balance between the things that my family members were interested in across the pop culture spectrum, as well as like other things outside it.
Yeah.
Um, so that was fine, and I feel like in most cases when I was in my friend groups in black settings,
Mm-hmm.
I was able to find other blurs or something equivalent, whether they consider themselves nerdy or not, because like especially in our age range from like 8 to 14, you liked Dragon Ball Z at a minimum,
Mm-hmm.
so everybody did. So but then in white settings it became, like, oh well, you're an Oreo, or you're acting white, because
Mm,
nerdiness is
Mhm.
so, like many things they believe is a parallel to whiteness.
mm-hmm. And that's interesting that you said that, because that's one of the experiences that we're going to be talking about,
Mhm.
that they brought up on the article. So that's interesting. Okay, Chris.
Yeah, and I would just echo a lot of what Chris said. I mean, for me, I would say that one thing was interesting. I felt like when we were like really, really young, like elementary school, especially because like I'm an anime guy, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people were watching anime shows and we didn't really know what that was. Like we were watching Yu-Gi-Oh, we were
Mhm.
watching Pokemon and things of that nature. And then as I moved into like middle school and high school, I was still in anime quite a bit. And I feel like
Okay.
when I grew, because I went to school in a black community, and I feel like when I got a little older, that stuff definitely like was not cool. I had friends that were into it, like here and there, but I mean, it was not the era where people were coming to school in anime shirts and things of that nature. It was like you knew like your anime people, or you knew your gamers, you knew who to talk to, but it was not something that like, especially as I got older, that like everybody did. And then yeah, when I got to college and I was like around like white communities for the first time, I
Mm-hmm.
definitely did get the Oreo comments and oh, our Chris isn't really black, and oh, Chris likes all that Asian stuff. He wants to be Asian, so
Wow.
definitely a yeah. I would definitely say like similar to Chris's. It kind of changes a little bit like as you age, and depending on what community you're in, like people kind of react to you differently.
Okay. I can see that. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, I actually met them during my first, and you heard the story 2 weeks ago, my first con of any kind at YomaCon in Detroit. And they had a panel that I was interested in hearing about, because, as I mentioned the last episode, I have some people in my life now that are heavily into the anime and gaming and all of that good stuff. And I was really interested in y'all's panel, and I was like, yeah, I have got to get them to come on the show, because it was right up my alley of what I wanted to discuss when I was planning out my show ideas for this season. And that it was just like kismet. I was like, wow, okay, yep, I got to get them on. But yeah, that was my first con ever, and I had a good time. I really enjoyed it. I
Mhm.
really did.
Cons are
That's
a lot of
awesome.
fun.
They are tons of fun. I wish I wanted to dress up, but I couldn't get it done in time. So I'm like, this is my first one, so that I'll just observe and see all the goings on. And I know next time I do want to dress up, because I was telling them that the next one I want to go to. I don't know if you all have been to it, the Dream Con in
Mm-mm.
Dallas. It's oh yeah, I
Oh, I've
saw
heard of
like
it. Yeah, I've heard of it. I've heard of it.
yeah, it's predominantly black, and it's in Dallas, Texas. And I've saw some footage of the last one, and I'm like, I'm there. I want to go there. So I think I think I kind of got the bug.
Yeah, it'll get you, and I guess I lightly cosplayed at like some of the first, like when going to Motor City Comic Con like a few years ago, but it was
Hmm.
all like closet stuff. So like for the most part, I'm just dressing up in normal clothes. I'm just saying I'm
Right.
cosplaying a character. But then now actually having getting into more screen accurate cosplays of like different characters, like like I have Lando Calrissian from Star Wars, Anakin Skywalker.
Okay.
um I have a Vader that hasn't debuted at a con yet, but will sometime next year. Like it, it, it it's a different experience, especially when
Hmm.
people want to take pictures. But like I recommend, like if you want to go to a con you haven't been, don't cosplay the first time, or at
Yeah.
Yeah.
least don't cosplay that first day. You need to get your
Yeah.
bearings.
Yes. I agree. But it was just wonderful seeing a lot of people just really free and really being themselves in their element among their tribe. I'm
Hmm.
a huge, huge advocate of finding your tribe,
Yep.
Hmm.
because that will make life so much fun, when you are around like-minded people. So, yeah, I really had fun during that con. All right, y'all. So, as I stated, we're going to be going over some of these. It's an article. It says 10 experiences that every Black nerd can relate to. And as I mentioned last episode, I kind of don't. I consider myself more on the geeky side because
Hmm.
I like I'm a movie buff. There's different things that I like and I'm a fan of.
Hmm.
Um, and and I have some weirdness to me. Some people have been saying, oh, different things that I like or do. You're weird. That's weird. But I embrace it. I love my weirdness and everything that makes me me. So
Hmm.
so here we are. So the 10 experiences that every Black nerd can relate to, and we're gonna see if that's true. Number one, you guys already touched pretty much on this, but we can go a little bit deeper. It says your white friends have said you're only technically Black. So,
Yeah.
like I said, you
Uh,
guys were kind of starting to talk about that, so you can go ahead with that one.
Like you're black, but you're not black black.
Right.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think with those comments, like part of it is because I don't know whatever how you say it, like white society in general has like a very narrow view of like what blackness is,
Yes.
of what how black how especially I mean we're men, so we'll speak for men, but like how black men are supposed to dress, how black men are
Mm,
supposed to talk, how we're supposed to look, they get
yes.
images be it from media, from entertainment, things of that nature. And they think that, okay, well, that's how black people are supposed to look and act. So if you don't fit into whatever box, then you're not really black. So honestly, a lot of those attitudes just come from like very, very, just very like harmful, negative stereotypes. And I mean,
Hmm.
we could be here all day talking about where every stereotype comes from, but really, it's just I think there are just a lot of stereotypes relating to blackness, just like built into people's brains that they don't even realize are there when they say things like that. So,
Yeah. So I guess so. In kindergarten through third grade, I was in the South, and I went to uh, predominantly white Christian Southern Baptist schools, but
Okay.
it was more diverse than like schools that I've been to up here that are predominantly white.
Hmm.
Um, but also like around that time when it came to things we were all into them, like regardless of color, like Pokemon
Yeah.
and like Bionicle was a big one, and Legos and things like that. Like everybody was into it, so it wasn't a thing of distinction.
Hmm.
And then I moved, and I went to a predominantly black school for a few years, Christian black school, and then I went to a secular, predominantly white private school, and for in like seventh grade, and for most of those white kids, I was around among the first, because there are like six of us at that time, six black people that they had met,
Mm.
because several of them had come up through that middle school as elementary school. And at least of my knowledge that I still have, there wasn't a black kid in that elementary school. The first black kid came in sixth grade, and the middle schools were split between boys and girls.
Mm.
So everything that they had in their mind about black people was either based off of that one kid or what they saw on TV. And so they had all the stereotypes in their mind. Like, we were supposed to be
Mhm.
hood. We're not supposed to speak with proper English.
Proper English, yes.
We're,
Yes.
like, we're supposed to be the fastest, the best at basketball. And like,
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
no slouch at basketball, but they expected me to be a god, like,
I
Like
was
and
LeBron
never good at
James.
sports either. That's another sore spot. I was never good at sports. So like
Uh,
if you're black and not good at sports, white people are like, what are you here for? What do you mean?
right.
It's just
Right.
yeah. So like, it was just that whole thing. And it's one story that I will always remember. This is in high school. This is
Mhm.
junior year. And one of the seniors, uh like, we're on a bus coming back from a game, and one of the seniors is like, calls me over, and he's just like, so how do I say, I don't know what kind of language to use on your podcast.
Go be you. Go ahead. Say what you
Okay,
said.
all right. So he pretty much was just like, okay, so white girl's pussy has pink lips, right? So is a black girl's like brown? Or I'm just like,
Wow. And that was a
mind
legit question from him, right? I can imagine.
mind you, we were up there talking about like something completely just not like this, and I'm just getting called back to. So it's just the audacity to the question. But I was like, why did you think of that?
Yeah.
Also, you have a phone with the internet, like,
Right. Just Google it.
yeah, this is Google. Yeah, it's just one of those situations that happened in various innocuous ways, but also just like, y'all are weird.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I have I can relate to that as well. When I was 5, I was born in Detroit. Excuse me, but when I was 5, we moved to San Diego. So in my elementary school, it was only 5 blacks. Me, my brother, a friend, my best friend at the time, her cousin, and my other classmate. And it was something. Um I didn't get too many of an Oreo or something like that, but mine was pretty much when I came back to Detroit to live because I went into the 6th grade.
Hmm.
So again, I'm a Cali girl, right? So I have the vernacular of a Cali girl. So
Hmm.
when I came to Detroit, and I went to a private middle school, it was K through 8, but I started 6th grade. And people, they were like, they said I was talking white, and I'm like, I'm just talking standard English.
Hmm.
I mean, it's really standard English, but I got that from my people, so yeah,
Right.
I can relate on that too. Okay, so I don't like the second one, so I'm gonna skip that one. I just don't like that question. So the third one is, or it says, no one in your family seems to get your interest. And I know that, Chris, you said it pretty much your whole family.
Oh yeah, everybody has.
Yeah. So you're probably good on that front. So Chris, let's
Yeah.
see, what about you?
Yeah. So with them, my family, my parents were both like, they were nerdy in like the academic sense. Like my
Mm,
mom's a college professor, so like they were always like big into school, big into studying and stuff like that. But as far as like entertainment, like
mm-hmm.
they would take me to go see like superhero movies and stuff like that, but I feel like it was more because they thought that's what a kid would want to see, not because they
Okay.
enjoyed it. So they weren't as
Okay.
into like Star Wars and Star Trek and a lot of like your like legacy nerdy franchises. So I think with me, I was a gamer and I got into anime, and I feel like
Mm-hmm.
especially my mom, she just it took her a while to really get it. Like I'll be playing a video game for hours and I would get mad if I lost against a boss. And my mom's like, this thing makes you angry. Why do you keep playing it? I'm like, because I gotta win. You know? So like certain things she didn't get. And then like I mean with the anime stuff specifically, I like a lot of those shows have like they usually like for the they have like opening and ending songs usually sung by like a Japanese artist, right? So like a lot of the music is good. Like a lot of those beats go hard. So like I'll be playing stuff in my room and my mom will be like, what are you listening to? Like, what is this? That doesn't sound like English, you know? So I think that with them, like, I mean, with my parents specifically, they were never like, you can't watch that or you can't enjoy that. But like they didn't really get it or get why I was into it until like I got a little bit older, you know, they were able to see some things online. They're like, oh, okay, I see why somebody would like this. So yeah, it definitely has been a journey for sure.
Okay. That's pretty. I think it's pretty. Do you think that's rare for Chris's situation? How everyone in the family seems to have pretty much the same interests. Do you all find that to be rare?
That's what it seems like to me, and not even just in Black families,
right?
But like, you know, I talked to a bunch of my friends, like, you know, like being on Star Wars TikTok, and a lot of them would be like, you know, at most they might have one parent that, you know, like Star Wars and took them to go see it and they, you know, enjoyed it. But it seems like most, you know, a lot of them, it's just like, oh no, my friends were into it, or you know, something of that variety. So, you know, like I didn't have a choice in not being nerdy. Like nerdy mother, nerdy father, nerdy older
you got
brothers.
lucky, yeah.
You were born into it. You're a legacy, huh?
Nerdy cousins, nerdy aunt and uncle. Well, I can't really say as much for my aunt. Nerdy uncle for sure. Like everybody.
Okay, I know that was probably a comfort growing up because when you know when it's your family, it hits a little different from you know strangers or kids. So that was dope, pretty dope.
Yeah, it was interesting because you know how like sometimes parents try to turn, you know, lessons from TV shows into lectures or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, so I come from a family of ministers, so it would pop up in sermons. Like you can sit it through a 2.5 hour movie, but you can't sit in church for 2.5 hours. Like, no.
Totally different types of entertainment, right?
Yeah.
Literally, like movie time and church time is on two different planes. Like, you know?
Especially growing up as a kid, like, come on, be there all day. It depends on which denomination.
Wrap it up. I gotta watch the Lions lose at 1.
Right. Right. And that's been going on for years. Oh man, that's funny. Okay, here's one. Being one of few Black kids or Black people in our case at cosplay events.
So Chris is a cosplayer, so he might be able to speak to this a little bit more. But I mean,
what, Chris? You don't cosplay?
I've done some like cosplays. Like I've had like I wore like if you've seen Squid Game, I got the Squid Game tracksuit and I was wearing that at Youmacon. On the different day I did the panel. So I've done some different things here and there. But specific to cosplay, yeah, Chris can speak on that. I can speak on like conventions in general though. So
okay.
I'm trying to think. I've seen a number of Black cosplayers.
I have too, even at Youmacon.
Right, and granted that's in Detroit, but you know, it's I try to think of it with like, so I'm in 2 cosplay groups specifically like for characters. Like I'm in a Lando one, and of course that has several Black people because Lando's a Black character. There's not just Black people in there. There are other persons of color, and then there are some
other POCs.
You know, a few white Lando cosplayers. And you know that don't blackface, which is just so.
Okay, I'm about to say that.
Yeah, no, they just have a mustache, whether it's fake or real, and they slick back their hair.
Okay.
Uh, and then I'm in a Vader one. And as far as I know, for the Vader one, I am the only black one, but I can't say that for 100% certainty
Mm-hmm.
because I have not seen all of them without their like without the
Mask off.
cosplay
Yeah.
on. Yeah,
Okay.
so like I know a few of them, like the ones that I've seen without the mask off, like they're all white.
Okay. Orlando group, huh?
Hmm.
Billy D, huh? I like Star Wars. I was surprised that I know someone personally who have not seen that one Star Wars movie.
That was me
Uh,
until a few years ago. So
Really?
yeah, like I said, I didn't. The thing is, like, I didn't grow up with it because my parents weren't into it, and I didn't see the movies until like I got on the train, like when The Force Awakens was coming out, and I was like, "All right,
Okay.
everybody's into Star Wars now. Might as well catch up." And that's when I saw them all. So
Okay.
Yeah, and I find a lot of people have that experience. Like if like their parents or their friends weren't into it, like they didn't go see the prequels because they were kids, so they couldn't go to the movies by themselves. And if they weren't into that, they probably weren't going to watch the Clone Wars when it came out when we were teenagers. So then when the Force Awakens comes out and it's like Star Wars is back in theaters for the first time in 7 years,
Hmm.
but really a decade, then a lot of people got into it with the Force Awakens.
Yeah. See, I saw the original three in the actual show. So yeah, I was a kid back then, and I don't even know how. I guess I asked my mom to take us because the reason why I'm a movie buff now is because my mother took my brother and I to the show every opening weekend, just about.
Hmm.
So I've been watching movies, going to the movie theater since I was little. Like I saw the first movie I remember seeing is Popeye with Robin Williams in the show. I was
Mm.
had to be under 5, but yeah, I've seen all the three original Star Wars in the show. Yeah, at the show. Wonderful, wonderful series.
Hmm.
Okay, so this one is interesting. You've had to code switch for different friend groups. Can you say that's true of your experiences?
100%.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yep. Yes. And it's so tiring and like for I mean, I still do it. I still
Hmm.
do it. Like at work and stuff. I know how to. I know how to talk to different groups of people. So,
Hmm.
but it's a shame that we even have to do that, in my opinion. But,
I don't know if you've seen Ebony Warrior Studios on TikTok. He
mm-mm.
he just he was where I saw it, but it was like these 6 or 7 phrases that are like how he put it, white American vernacular English, so wave, and
Oh
it was
man.
just like uh let's skedaddle. What were some of the other ones?
Jizo
Like
Pete.
no, it's like hold on, I gotta find it because like
Well, looking right.
his whole point was like, why are y'all trying to steal our stuff? Like this stuff slaps.
They have
Yeah.
some good ones. I like malarkey.
You like malarkey?
Ever said something? Oh, that's a load of malarkey. I think the president says that. That's one of my favorites. I'll say that to my sister. I'm like, that's malarkey. Um, yeah. I mean, while Chris is looking at me, and just speaking of code switching
Hmm.
in general, like, yeah. I mean, at home versus at work is different, and I think too, even if you get into like nerd communities as well, and Chris could probably agree with this as well, like there are certain like, especially if you're online a lot, there are certain terms that people use online that if someone's like not on the internet a ton or like not a part of Black Twitter or something like that,
Hmm.
like they don't get it.
Hmm.
Even if we're both Black, like if someone isn't online and I am, I'll say things and they won't pick up on. I'm like, oh, I guess that's an online thing. So
Right, not a
yeah,
black thing.
sometimes, yeah. I just Yeah, so I mean, I think I mean, code switch is obviously something that that in order to fit in a certain spaces, a lot of Black folks feel like we have to do. Sometimes I feel like the laws are loosening a little bit.
Hmm.
There was one time, Chris is still looking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he is. There was one time I slipped up at a job, not my current job. If anyone's listening, an older one where like someone went on a maternity, a manager went on maternity leave like 3 weeks early. So she didn't have she was supposed to like, have a meeting to like set up her stuff and tell us how to do
Yeah.
stuff before she left. But she, went to early labor. And I remember sitting in a meeting with like a couple of my coworkers. It wasn't a manager or anything like that. We're trying to figure out, okay, well, so-and-so's gone. What do we do? And I remember in that meeting, I was like, yo, I don't know what we finna do. And I didn't even think like, oh, I don't know what we finna do, y'all.
You hit them with the finna.
She didn't send the documents. No one knows how to log in, so it was yeah, it was pretty funny.
Oh my God.
All right, I found it.
Okay.
It was that's rich coming from you. Okay, no more Mr. Nice Guy.
Mm.
Let me be frank.
Mm-hmm.
Now listen here, pal.
Oh,
Or you can interchange that with buddy.
Mm-hmm.
buddy.
There's a newsflash, buddy.
Oh.
How you like them apples?
Oh my God. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hilarious. Oh my gosh. That is hilarious. Yeah, it's a shame we have to even code switch like that. But we do. I think a lot of us too. It's like we have, well, I can't speak for everybody, Black, of course. But I think like a lot of us feel like we have to prove ourselves. Like, look, I am educated. I know how to talk. So you just like to overdo it just a little just a little bit, like I'm not, don't put me in no box type thing. So yeah, it's a shame we have to code switch. All right. So the sixth one is, and we kind of touched on this, I think, a little bit. Accused of acting white by other people of color. Yeah,
Yeah.
most definitely.
I do remember one of the Black kids when I was at the predominantly white school in middle school said that, and I'm like, what? We're into the same things. What you talking about?
He called you out. Why he call you out?
I don't know. I guess because he was from Detroit, he thought, he had a little over me, and I'm like, okay, yeah, but I'm from Atlanta.
Yeah, I've definitely, when I've gotten that kind of stuff from other Black people, it's usually been like not doing something well. That's like a common thing. Like I mentioned before, wasn't good at sports, right? Another thing, not a good dancer. That's also a tough thing when the school dances, because I went to Black schools growing up, so like the school dances, if you weren't, if I wasn't there, usually I would get some stuff for that. I'm trying to think too. But yeah. So certain things like that, or I wasn't. Another thing about me is that like I wasn't as big into like hip hop and rap and stuff like that when I was younger. When that was like very popular, I am more so now. But back then, I was one of those people like, oh, I don't listen to rap that much. So like, I feel
but
like
you know what? To your defense, because I know you all are much younger than me. It was kind of trash anyway. So you're not, you weren't missing anything, and I know, when people getting older, they say this phrase, but this is for real. But back in my day, no, like 90s rap, that was like hip hop, that was the thing. But so from me, you get a pass on that. So
I couldn't listen to it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
not not until like I got my own iPod, but like like I grew with my mom it was like gospel music or what's on radio
Mm-hmm.
Disney, and with my dad it was like Motown. So like I got
Okay.
that education.
Yeah, I got the Motown
Okay.
too. Yeah.
Like my dad wore the crap out of the Back at One CD by Brian McKnight. Like
That was a great
uh,
CD.
oh, that's doing the CD backwards and forwards. But yeah. So when it came to dancing, being one of at least in seventh grade and eighth grade, 5 or 6 black kids or black guys, and because the middle schools were split, they were only together for co-ed sports teams, so like track and band or choir.
Okay.
And so none of the black girls were in band. They were in strings, which they separated. So like they were doing like violin or cello or something like
Okay.
that. But we never interacted with them as like band and strings, which is really weird to me as a musical program, but whatever. So our really only opportunities to see them were at these dances. And so, like, at least with the guys, since we all knew each other, like, we would go over to someone's house beforehand. We would be like practicing the different dances because we were going to make sure if we were going to do something, we going to look good dancing, to the point where like my family didn't know I could dance. So we were like
Oh, really?
playing some dance game for the Wii. And like, I know this isn't like a great like indicator of like dancing ability, but when I was whooping all of them, including like I was on par with my sister-in-law who was like in dance and like a dance instructor, they're all like,
Mm-hmm. They're taking it back.
my mom says this
Yeah.
to this day, she was shocked. She's like, I didn't know he could dance. And
You
I'm
do
just like,
that.
Yeah, where
put
they're
some res-
hiding your dance talents from your
put,
family, huh?
put some respect on my name. I mean, but like, where were the opportunities to really do that? Because like, unless there were weddings, which really started to happen a couple years after that, like
Okay.
not really like, I'm not going to be at the front of the sanctuary, like dancing in church, like that's not
Yeah.
me. That's not my style. So,
Yeah.
I'm just like, if I'm gonna catch the Holy Ghost, I'm gonna catch the Holy Ghost at my seat.
Right. I feel you on that. Okay. Yeah. Excuse me. We're not going to finish up the rest of them because we kind of talked about it already pretty much. But I do want to just touch on a few misconceptions about Black nerds. I think one misconception that I read in one particular article, it says that one of the misconceptions is, I guess, how attire, a dress. Because, and I stated this on my last episode, when people think of nerd, no matter what color, we're thinking about, you get that stereotypical image of like that Steve Urkel type,
Mhm.
or, somebody with, just that whole makeup there. But one of the misconceptions that I read online is that, cause one particular Black nerd, he said I love designer outfit. I love designer. He said so. I guess that's like a misconception with the attire. So what are some of the misconceptions that you all can just let us know about being a black nerd?
I guess I can go. I mean, I will say that one misconception, this is something I kind of touched on in the panel, is that like just because like you are a nerd, you like certain things, doesn't mean that has to be a barrier from like enjoying other parts of life. So like one thing about
Mm-hmm.
me is that I love the gym. I work out all the time. I'm kind of a gym bro, right? So a lot of people think that like at least when I was younger, since I wasn't good at sports, I just assumed like, oh well, I'm a nerd. I guess I'm just not good at exercise and physical activity. But
Mm-hmm.
when I was in college, I started to go to the gym more and developed like a love for it. And I mean, now I go to the gym. There are plenty of dudes in anime shirts walking around the gym, exercising all the time. So it's almost like its own like being like the nerd gym bros, like its own like subculture within like the nerd culture. So I would say
Mm-hmm.
that one, I guess as far as the misconception, I would say is that just because someone's into, certain nerdy things, that's not, just everything about them. There's nerds that are in the theater, there's nerds that are in the film, there's 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 people in the gym like me. So it kind of, it's one part of you. It doesn't have to define like everything about you your entire life. If that makes sense.
I agree. Yes.
I went to the gym on Halloween and someone was legit dressed up as Monkey D. Luffy.
From One Piece.
Yeah, they had even painted the X on their chest. And I was like, I'm not mad at it, but
out,
also
like,
why are you
cosplay? Yeah, you're gonna like sweat the outfit out. That's the only thing I would think.
Well, I mean, they were in like the red vest and they had like the hat like on their back. But to me, the biggest thing is all like, why are you wearing jeans at the gym?
Yeah,
like it's rolled up so they're like shorts, but I'm like, no.
No, that's not the place.
Yeah.
That's not. But do you have a misconception, Chris?
I guess the biggest misconception that I still see people have is that nerdy women don't exist. And like, or women won't like you if you're nerdy. Like that's not true,
at all.
Like, the funniest example I've seen when people talking about it is, girls didn't like you because you were nerdy. Girls didn't like you because you were Naruto running through the hallways and like, yelling out jutsus, like, that's fine. But, it's just the simple situation of, girls, women like this too. It's not gender specific, and there's just tons of gatekeepers out there, but like, look at the cosplay community. Like, of course, there are going to be those that were like, oh, they're just trying to do that so they can look good. It was just like, okay, but also like, there are so many women that I know that will school anybody on any type of, ranging from anime to Star Wars to Marvel to DC, that will read you under the table with any character because that's what they love.
And like you said, it's not gender specific. And I'm gonna reach out to some nerdy women as well for this series. Yep, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna reach out and talk to the women's perspective on nerddom. Well, you know what, guys? I really enjoyed this conversation. Like I said, it was more on the lighter side because I gotten deep, on the last episode. I just wanted this to be a little bit on the lighter side, and you guys definitely made that happen. And I really appreciate you coming on. No, you did.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for accepting the invitation. I really appreciate it. And if you guys just want to leave one final word, like say it might be a teenage person or a young person that's watching who need to hear something regarding them, because I said this in the last episode as well, but I just want to just leave the episode with some encouragement for those who might be struggling.
Yeah, be you unapologetically. Being Black is everything under the sun, so try everything that you want to. You'll never know what you're going to find that you love, and just enjoy yourself.
I like that.
And I would just add on to that, find community. There's always going to be people who are into the same stuff you are. I mean, whether it's board game groups or, some folks are theater kids, some folk, there are tons of different communities online, the non-toxic ones at least, like, look for clubs in school, things of that nature, like we kind of said before, try to find your tribe and your people, because that'll help you, like, that'll help you, not feel like a weirdo for being into the things that you are, where you kind of have your people that, that like support you, and accept you for who you are. If that makes sense.
Yes. And like I said last episode too, if you're, you are into different things from what your family's into or what your other friends and peers are into, that's okay. Be yourself and embrace who you are. Embrace everything about you because there's only one you and the world is better with you in it. I really believe that. And again, you can find two black, two nerdy podcasts on every streaming platform. You guys want to check them out. I know you all review movies and TV shows and things of that nature too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we just had our Black Panther 2 review go up last month, so definitely check that out. And then our presentation at YomaCon that you listened to, we recorded that and we have the audio on the podcast as well. If anybody wants to listen to the talk we gave there.
And you all trust me, go and yes, listen to that talk. It was very good. It was informative and it was like a airing out of things when some
It
of
became a group
the
therapy
people in the
session at
audience.
one
Yeah, it was a
point.
group therapy session. Yeah, so check them out, you all. And again, the description is going to be filled with their links and their socials, as well as our links here in the podcast and to the Patreon. And again, like, share, and subscribe. That's free, y'all. It does not take much effort to do that. It doesn't cost to do that. When you have creatives making content, one of the biggest things you can do for us is to share, share, share. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Don't click out just yet. And for everybody else, I will see you. I'm going to try to get the woman's perspective on this. If I can find someone in time. And I think I have a few people in mind. I'm going to go ahead and do that. We're going to finish the series out strong. But in the meantime, you all have a great day. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Take care.
Oh, let's go. Let's go. It's time to turn up your radio. Turn up the radio. Just so you know, you're kicking it with Kate. That's all I'm gonna say. You're here now.